Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is HD Starcraft and I'm proud to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today I've actually got an interesting game. This is going to be a game straight from Korea, a Korean versus Korean, but I can't actually tell you guys who this Zerg player is because due to KESPA rules, the player has asked me to not reveal his true identity, but he is on a Korean pro gaming team, and this is I'm told a pretty good game, so he has released this replay to me in confidentiality. So for now I'm just gonna call him Potato because that's the name that he asked to go by. So he is the blue Zerg here, known as Potato, in the bottom right hand corner. Unfortunately, that's all the information I can give you guys, but he is on one of the pro teams in Korea practicing Starcraft 2 Heart of the Storm. Anyways, he's going to be in the bottom right hand corner. His opponent is going to be Ares, who is a red Protoss who's obviously in GM on the Korean ladder, extremely talented to say the least, and this is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss on Belshir Vestige. So I'm very excited because it's not every day that I actually get to cast you guys some straight from Korea games. KESPA, the Korean Esports Players Association, highly regulates replays that come in and out, or anything really regarding the players. It's a bit of a strict society, and it's very, very hard, obviously, to get any good games from that side of the world. So hope you guys enjoyed. Very excited here to see what happens, and it looks like it is going to be a pretty quick spawning pool coming down here from the Zerg player. Looks like he wants to go for obviously pull first because he is playing Protoss. You want to get the Zerglings out and then get to your hatchery once you've got some Zerglings on the field. We'll see if Ares decides to go for a pylon block here. I've noticed a lot more Protoss players these days basically saying, well, it's not worth the 100 minerals to drop the pylon down. What they do is keep the probe alive for as long as possible, and once the probe starts to lose its HP, they pull it out, and sometimes they will go for the block at the next expansion, but they don't really waste time going for it at the natural, simply because it just costs too much for a pylon, and at the high level, a lot of pro players don't really regard that as a worthy trade. This Overlord's kind of got a funky mutation going on. It's got some pipes coming out of its back, I suppose, and a little bit of a cape or something like that. But anyways, very excited to see how this game goes down. These are some top players, and I mean, when I say top players, these are the kind of players that could compete with a guy like Tasia. And Tasia, if you guys recall from that Terran game I casted, is incredible. I mean, he is just sick. He demolished Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like a play toy. So this should be a really high level game. Very excited to see what happens. Got a couple of Zerglings coming out here. Gonna push this probe away and bring it back home to the natural. Meanwhile, Ares has taken the liberty to go ahead and wall off the front door. I like the way his layout is set up. It's completely walled here on Belshir Vestige, but it's just open enough for a gap for the probe to leak through, and as you guys can see, it actually comes through in a very convoluted manner. This is like a pro-style version of building your Tetris wall, but it's laid out in such a way, and he's even going to go ahead and continue to kind of make the maze so that if any Zerg unit wants to run in, it is not going to be easy. They will have to kind of do a little bit of a zigzag pattern in order to make it through that front door. Meanwhile, another hatchery is on the way right here from Potato, as he's going for the expansion down at the third location. I really wish I could tell you guys who this player was, but I'll let you guys just use your imagination. Well, think of how many... There are a lot of Zerg players obviously playing on pro teams, but just use your imagination and run wild with it. But yes, Potato has got an Overlord here checking out the main base here. Gonna go ahead and fly around and find out what the heck is going on. Of course, at this moment, Protoss don't necessarily reveal their tech. They do have, the gases and the cybernetics core, but usually they'll wait to get rid of that Overlord and then choose to throw down their tech options. And Protoss can go, actually, they can go Oracle against Zerg. I just don't feel like it's as good as it is against Terran. But that doesn't stop some Protoss players from exploring those new air units that are available in Heart of the Swarm versus a Zerg if they choose to. We can see that Potato still has not grabbed any gases. It looks like he's just now starting to get the ones at the natural. And this is the new way to play kind of Zerg versus Protoss. You want to get your third hatchery really quickly. You mine, you drone up, and you don't really go for lair until like 7-8 minutes in. The first set of gas not even being used until you you get enough for at least Zergling speed. So it's a pretty delayed tech options now that Zerg go with against Protoss these days at the high level of StarCraft 2. I like how the Overlord just died and its body parts kind of rolled off the Nexus and down to the floor below. This Overlord is also going to join his fallen sibling, but we'll see if we can get any scouting information before he goes down. There is a double Stargate coming, one right here at the natural, and then one all the way in the back of the main. Now, this Overlord did die. Let's go ahead and see if it was able to get scouting intel off. It did see the Stargate at the front door. What a critical scout that was. Now, the problem is Potato didn't see the Stargate in the back, so basically, we have a double Stargate opening here from Ares. He's going to try to rush to the skies here, and the problem is Potato only saw one of the Stargates, and as a Zerg player, when you see one Stargate, you can say, alright, he's probably going to have some Phoenix coming out. I've just got to get a couple of Spore Crawlers down and I should be okay. But double Stargate obviously means twice the trouble. You know, twice the units, twice the trouble. Potato is going to have to get more than just Spore Crawlers, I feel like. He needs to rush for a Hydralisk Den, get some Hydralisks out to really bolster his anti-air, because a double Stargate opening is very aggressive. And look to see Ares here take to the skies very, very soon. He's got Phoenix coming out right now. He's already actually got one that's revealed himself on an Overlord down in the bottom left-hand corner. One more Phoenix is flying in, and it is going to go straight for the natural. So he's actually splitting his Phoenix apart here. Now the third Phoenix is coming, and at this point, Potato has got to realize, if his instincts are keen, he's got to realize, all right, that's a lot of Phoenix for just one Stargate. You probably have two, and in response he has thrown down a Hydralisk Den. He's got an Evolution Chamber coming up as well. You don't need the Evo Chamber for Spore Crawlers anymore, but he's gotten it nonetheless. We have some Zerglings that are actually engaging on the top right hand side, trying to prevent the Protoss from grabbing the next expansion. This is one of the limitations. When you go double Stargate, you do limit yourself in terms of ground units, and so Potato trying to attack that location as best he can, but Ares has already got more than enough Zealots and sentries there, and he will claim the third Nexus. So that's a great for him, as he, you know, every base you can get in StarCraft matters so much. But there are 7 Hydralisks on the way. Make that 9 Hydralisks, with Hydralisk speed being the first upgrade coming out of the den here. And with 9 Hydras on the way, I mean, how did these Zerglings get into the main base? That's not something you see every day. But the Zerglings did get in, and they got a little bit of scouting information as well. But anyways, we do have a lot of Hydralisks on the way. Don't make it 9, make it like 15 Hydras that are on the production tab, and they will be coming out momentarily. Now, with this many Hydras and Hydra speed, I actually feel like, you know, Potato could go for a Hydra Bust. It's not something you see every day, but it is very effective, a mid-game Hydra Bust, because if you think about it, Ares' forces are mostly, you know, invested into air units. Hydralisks are very good against air. There isn't that much resistance on the ground. If Potato were to send a strike force to this Nexus, I'm not sure, and in fact he is going for it, you know, I'm not sure if Ares is going to have enough forces to defend here. He will need to get all of his units over here right now. It looks like he's got a lot of Graviton Beam energy saved up. That's going to be very helpful when it comes to dealing with the Hydralisks, and the Hydralisks have already arrived. That's the benefit of having Hydra speed. The buildings are canceled off to recuperate refunded resources, and it looks like the Hydra's now trying to stay out of the way of the force fields. Very nice to have Hydra speed there, as you guys can see. Roche is coming in as well, but it looks like Ares is going to have too many units here. Even though he's gone air units predominantly, he's got so much Graviton Beam energy. All the Hydralisks are completely slain. The Void Ray is even activating Prismatic Alignment just for fun. Of course, they only do extra damage to Roaches, not to Hydras, but hey, more laser beams, more brighter beams, it must be better, right? It could only, you know, sometimes just use, like, because you know it doesn't do anything, but still you just push the button anyways for funsies. So anyways, Ares was able to hold that off really convincingly, and unfortunately for the Zerg player Potato, he is not looking good. He's only at 134 supply. He is double expanding on Belshir Vestige, though, to the 4th and the 5th, trying to really make up for the fact that that attack didn't work out so well for him. And he is going to go for another wave here. More Hydralisks joining the fray, coming to the center of the map, tagging the Xel'Naga Tower. Phoenix is on the left-hand side, going to attempt to I guess intercept or do something. Maybe Ares is planning to try to strike this expansion down, and he is actually looking to get some pylons up, but he needs to bring his forces over to support these pylons. Meanwhile, the Hydralisks are flanking, coming around the backside, and wow, this could be a big engagement. Will Ares be able to hold on? His mothership core has gone down. Force field's getting dropped down as well, and not a good position for Ares as he's surrounded on both sides, but it looks like he's got enough of a Protoss army to stand his ground, and it looks like Potato doesn't want to push his luck. He is going to hang back and wait for more reinforcing Hydralisks to join the fray. He's got 11 more on the way. You know, I love watching Hydras in Protoss against Protoss, Zerg versus Protoss, because it's not something you see every day back in Wings of Liberty, but they are such a core unit overall now in Heart of the Storm, and it looks like Potato is just going to go for a straight up attack. He says I'm going to go eye for an eye. You take out one hatchery, I take out one Nexus, and he's going to go for this Nexus in the top right hand corner of the map. All reinforcements streaming to that position as well, and this Nexus is going to go down. Too much Hydralisk firepower for the Protoss to hang on to, but he's still got an army on the offensive. He's going to take out another hatchery as well, and will Potato decide to go for the natural? No, he can't. Look at how many photon cannons are here. The maze forcing the probes to just kind of go into that zigzag to get to the Nexus, but there's so many cannons. I don't think that Ares can actually, I don't think that Potato can push Ares' natural, but at the same time, he's fallen back with most of his speed Hydras, and it looks like he's limited his losses to 2 hatcheries. Now, I know that is a big loss, but if you think about it, the Zerg player still has 3 bases, the Protoss player has 2, and so, you know, in terms of the theory of Zerg needing 1 extra base over Protoss, right now it's still an even game. We'll see what happens, but that is a lot of Hydras coming out here for the Zerg player Potato. My god. And I think with this many Hydras, Ares needs to think about going to Templar Tech or Colossus. You just cannot stay on Warp Gate and hope to beat out this many Hydras. It's not possible. So he's got to get up to Colossus or Templar. It looks like he's going to go for Robo right now. He's going to have to engage once again to buy himself time to get this 3rd Nexus re-established. Meanwhile, it looks like the Zerg, you know, still mining on this right-hand side. As you guys can see, this was actually the 5th base, but now has become the new 3rd, as the original 3rd and the 4th have gone down. And so many Hydralisks are here. Force Field's going to be used here to keep the Hydralisks away. And once again, the Void Rays charging up their prismatic alignment. But as I said before, it doesn't do anything to Hydralisks. The same amount of damage is dealt to those 2 Hydralisks because they are a light unit. More Zealots being warped in on the left-hand side. Looks like he wants to make sure these hatcheries do not re-erect. Meanwhile, Ares trying to hold onto the high ground here and continue to posture against the Zerg. And I think the reason why Ares is doing this, while he cannot win a fight against this many Hydras, he can buy time with force fields in order to get this Nexus up and running, get the gas he needs because he needs gas, and then get Colossus out. I think that's the strategy right now, as he's going for a support bay right now. Meanwhile, Zealot's going all the way down to the bottom left-hand side, looking to take out this hatchery. It looks like they will be able to kill off several drones here, and it's been left completely undefended. Meanwhile, the Hydras are testing the waters outside the expansion, and they have seen that, hey, things are now open and free to go. This proxy pylon on the left will get taken down, but a lot of drones have fallen over here at the bottom left expansion. And right now the drone count showing the Zerg is at 74, so it's not a terrible loss, but still it's better to lose none than to lose some of the ones that he lost at this point. But we'll see what happens as a couple more Zealots are coming in. Ares is really not going to give up on this assault, but this time he runs into a squad of Hydras locked and loaded, and Potato will clean that up. So those Zealots are going to get taken down, but I feel like Ares, his mission was accomplished. You know, he was the whole time, he was just trying to buy time to establish this 3rd base once again, get Colossus out, and I think he's bought himself just enough time in order to get Colossus on the field. Now, if Hydras were to attack, it's not exactly clear that they would be able to overwhelm this mostly Warp Gate, Stargate army, because there is a Colossus here now. Extended Thermal Lance is on the way. More Colossus are joining the fray. In fact, Ares is feeling so comfortable now that he thinks he can go ahead and get another base on the right-hand side of the map. I don't disagree with him. I think this is a great decision, but look at this. Potato says, all right, you've got Colossus, I'm going Vipers. He's making 5 Vipers right now, and we all know how good Vipers are against Colossus with a Hydralisk backup. It's almost unreal how effective they can be, And to counter that, Ares is gonna have to, you don't want to make too many Colossus, that's the thing. And he's gonna have to think about getting some Tempests, I feel like, on the field. Those are a great way to keep Vipers away as well with their extended range. We'll see what happens. It looks like these Hydras thinking about making an attack here to back up the Hydras that are over here on the right-hand side. Look at how close this Nexus came down to dying. Very, very close. Its shields and HP are extremely low right now. Potato trying to make up his mind on how he wants to take out this Nexus. He sent a couple more Hydras around the right-hand side. Gonna try to take it from behind the mineral lines. Meanwhile, Hydras on the left-hand side trying to distract the Protoss army, and these 4 Hydras get the job done. Unbelievable. That Nexus was killed off, and Ares is gonna have to reset and start over from the beginning. That is brutal, and Potato showing just why he is on a Korean pro gaming team. Although he's got to be careful. Some Zergs, I've seen them consume so much they end up killing their own buildings, but you can see here Potato was smart enough to leave energy behind for a transfuse, keeping that hatchery alive. And here comes the Protoss army. Lots of Colossus, tons of Void Rays as well. But the Vipers are here and they abduct the Colossus in. Great abducts as well. Those Colossus had nowhere to run, and the Hydras immediately taking them down. And I think now that Ares has seen that these Hydras are backed up with the late game spellcaster known as the Viper, they're gonna have to pull back, but they've also got to decide whether to pull back or to be heroes and try to save this Nexus. This Nexus cannot be allowed to go down, and here comes the Zerg player Potato. He's gonna bear his whole Hydra army down on the shields of the Nexus, and the Nexus about to fall, although it looks like Ares pulls back just for a second here, and he is gonna go in, I think, to finish it off, but he has to engage now. Great position for the Protoss player though, beautiful position, but the Nexus did go down. Colossus also got yanked down to the low ground. I'm surprised that Ares isn't using hallucination to try to hallucinate some Colossus. That's a great way to counter the Vipers as well. But it looks like he's going to win this fight regardless because he had the high ground. Great advantage there of being on the high ground, is you usually win fights when you are on the high ground. And unfortunately, though, the Nexus was on the low ground and it was taken out. So once again, Ares finds himself losing out in terms of economy. He's not making so much money anymore, and his bank is dwindling dangerously low, whereas Potato is banking a large amount of minerals, to say the least. That could be translated into a lot of Zerglings if he wants to. But overall, I think that was probably a win for the Zerg player. Yeah, he lost most of his army, but he killed off the Nexus, and as time goes on, you know, it's a snowball effect in Starcraft 2. That Nexus is going to be, you know, the loss of that Nexus is going to be money that should have been recognized by Ares, but at this point will not be. And that means he's not going to have as big of an army as a Zerg player will. And here we go, more Hydras joining the fray, and it's like a never-ending onslaught of Hydralisks. This is what Hydras were meant and born to do, not the slow, cowardly versions in Wings of Liberty, but the new and improved in Heart of the Swarm. And what in the world is Ares going to be able to do? The Hydras, with their speed and range, they are not really affected by force fields, and they will take down yet another Nexus, not to mention a Colossus. Where is the hallucinated Colossus here? That's what Ares needs to do in order to counter these Hydralisks. He needs to hallucinate his Colossus and then pick off the Overseers so that the real ones cannot be seen by the Vipers. I'm so surprised, you know, he's not utilizing that a little bit more, you know, considering he's got tons of Sentry energy. It doesn't cost that much to hallucinate a Colossus. Just well, I guess it does cost a lot, but it's absolutely worth it in the big fight. Far more worth it, I think, than Force Fields, because Force Fields, just, they're not that good against Hydras with their range and speed in HOTS. Now, we do have Ultralisk coming out as well from Potato, so he's going to realize Tier 3 pretty soon here. Although Ares, if he can establish this 4th base and get things going, he's not out of this game yet. He desperately needs that base functional, though. And we'll see if he can actually hold a position. He's trying to entrench himself between the Zerg and his new base. Not bad tactical strategy at all. And in fact, he's going to go for an engagement here. Now, this is risky. I think that these Ultras could do a ton of damage. Looks like Blinding Cloud going to be used here, but feedback's on the Vipers to keep them away from the Colossus. That's another way to keep your Colossus safe. It's just feedback them. You guys can see the spell wars that kind of happen here in StarCraft 2. Everything matters. Now, it looks like the Zerg, I don't know if he's got a big enough army to actually win this fight, but he's going to try to go around both sides. No, one of the Ultras gets roasted and toasted, getting a little bit too up close and personal. Now, I don't know about this for the Zerg player. I think that the Protoss is a pretty good position, although his forces are a little bit spread out. And wow, he's all up on the creep, and the Zerg units are just coming from all directions right now. These Colossus are in a lot of trouble, and they get surrounded from all angles. Potato just brings down the hammer, and this Zerg army is going to take out the Protoss army, no questions about it. Ares' force is depleted. What a beautiful victory right there by Potato, and just goes to show why you do not engage on creep against behind enemy Zerg lines. That was a devastating battle for Ares, and Potato now is going to be able to take out this Nexus, the focal point really of this match. GG has been called, but a really high level Zerg versus Protoss there, as you guys can see, just the intricacies, the little ins and outs, and the ebb and flow of Starcraft 2 Heart of the Swarm really kind of detailed in this game at the highest level. This is what you see. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was pretty sick, and obviously I'm going to continue to try to get really a high level replays for you guys, but for now I hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously still casting a couple more games before I go off to Las Vegas, Nevada, so stay tuned. I'll have more videos coming out for you guys in the near future. This is HD, and I'm signing out.